Okay, welcome. We're talking about congruent triangles, how to find sides and angles. The idea is if you're given a congruent statement, and I'm going to put the letters out of order just to kind of demonstrate what we're looking at here. Triangle BAC is congruent to EDF. Now, the order of the letters is important because it tells you which vertices or segment is congruent to which. So in this case, B and E are your congruent angles of both triangles, and we know that because B and E are the first letter. Same thing with A. A and D, since they're the middle letter, those are the angles that are congruent or will be the same size and shape. And then same goes for F, where here this is your third letter, and we know that C and F are also congruent. Now, it's important to follow the congruent statement more so than the triangles look, because sometimes you get the figures not drawn to scale, and they'll make angles on an SAT, they'll make it look congruent when in fact the congruent statement is different. Now, same goes for your segments. B and A are the first two letters, so that means E and D, which are also the first two letters, are congruent sides. And if we have A and C, I'll do double slash here, and D and F, those will be A and C, and D and F. And then you have your B, so your first and last letter, I'm doing a triple slash over each letter to show that that's your kind of triple slash segment here. Now, with the congruent statement, knowing that each pieces are congruent, if we say that angle C is 60 degrees, well, then we have to assume that angle F is 60 degrees. And if angle B is 20 degrees, let's make that actually, I'd like that to make that 100 degrees, let's say. Looks a little bit more appropriate. Let's say this is 100 degrees, then angle E would be 100 degrees. Now, let's just say they threw out a curveball there and they said, well, what is angle A? What you could do is say, well, 100 plus 60 is 160, 180 minus 160, and this angle here is 20 degrees. And if you know this angle is 20 degrees, and you know angle A is congruent to angle D, then you could say here, this angle here is also 20 degrees. So we know that, each triangle is going to have 180 degrees, and that the angles will be congruent. So you could use that information to help you with examples. Now, same thing with sides here. Let's say this side here is 10, and this will make this side here 10. So, just kind of, the sides have to match up with, actually, this should be like 16, and maybe this would be like 8, something like that. So let's look at a couple examples. So here we have an example which has a congruent statement, and you're using that information such as EG, the first and last letter, EG, I'm going to use this, is congruent to RT. I know that because E and G are the first and last, R and T are the first and last. Now, what that allows me to do is it allows me to take this segment, and I use these for a reason because both of these on each triangle match, and they have an algebraic expression to go with it. Now, what that allows me to do is it allows me to solve for x. Move letters to one side, x is equal to 5. Now that I have x, I should be able to find each and every angle here, or side, let's say. In this case, simply enough, they ask for EG, which they give you as 3x, so I just plug in the 5. EG is equal to 3x, so EG is equal to 15. What would be a little bit more challenging is if they asked for EF. Let's say they ask for EF. Now, EF does not have an algebraic expression, but you do know that EF is congruent to RS. because, not angle, just side, EF is congruent to RS. And we know that because of your congruent statement. Here's EF, here's RS, first two letters, those will be matching. So if I know RS is 6x minus 8, then I know 6x minus 8 will also equal EF. So I could just plug in my 6 times whatever my x was, 5, which was 30, 30 minus 8, 22. So if this ends up being 22, this here will be 22 as well. And I could do the same here. 2 times 5, this is 12, which will make this here 12 because those are congruent sides of two congruent triangles. Let's move forward. This is a good question here. You have two angles. You have your 90 degree and you have this angle here. They're asking for C. Now the problem is they don't give you anything for C, but you have to look at your congruent statement and recognize and pick up, well, Z and Z, angle C is congruent to angle Z because of this congruent statement, which the two last letters are C and Z. So whatever Z is, I could put for C. So I can make C 4x minus 1. And now I know each triangle is 180 degrees, so I would set it up 4x minus 1 plus 90. A lot of students forget this 90 degrees and they just set it equal to 180. I have 7x's plus 89, 180, 7x equals 91. I get that from doing 180 minus 89. Now, in my head, I know that 70 plus 21 is equal to 91. So 7 goes into 70 10 times and goes into 21 3. So that means x is 13. Although I'm not done there just yet, don't forget angle C. And this will probably be your answer choice A, and they'll fool you, and you'll circle 13, and you'll wonder why you got the question wrong. But angle C is 4x minus 1. We have to plug that in. 4 times 13 minus 1. 4 times 10, 4 times 3, 40, 12, 52 minus the 1. This will probably be somewhere around 51 degrees for angle C. A lot of times when I show this, I have a student that's been asking about these things. It's me breaking down numbers into tens and ones. It's kind of the mental math that goes in my head, just like this here. That allows me to do things a little bit quicker. So I'm trying to illustrate that. Here's another good one. It's kind of same premise. This angle R, we know R and G are the same. So whatever this is, I could say that this is this here. And set this all equal to 180. This is kind of a layup one if you ask me. We have about 13 x's minus 2 is equal to 180 plus 2 plus 2. 13x equals 182. Now what I'll do here is I'll break the 180 into 130 and 52. And I know 13 goes into 130 10 times. And I know 13, because 3 times 4 is 12, I know 13 times 4 will probably end in a 2, so I'll say that's 52. So there's your 4. So I know x is equal to 14. And then I want to plug in for P. Now this is the point where you recognize, well, I don't have anything for P. Well, P matches up with E. Those are my first letters. So I could just plug in for E. And get P. So 8 times 10, 80. 8 times 4, 32. So I could do 80, 30, 2, 110, 112, plus 2, 114 would be the measure of this angle here, because it does in fact match up with E. Moving on. This is a good one. We're getting out of angles a little bit, although we did discuss a little bit before the sides. Right away, before I even look at the congruent statement, I'm recognizing that I have two sides. Let's switch to an orange here. I have two sides, A and B. y, and x they look like they're matching. Like they look like they both have an algebraic expression. So let me see, is AB and XY, is that a match in a congruent statement? Yes. So I could set those equal to each other and then get my x. What I like to do is move letters to one side. I like to move them in a way which will keep x positive. So by subtracting 2x from both sides, I keep x positive. Move numbers to the other. Cancel this out. 4 is equal to x. They're asking for xz. I don't have anything for xz, but I know xz matches up with AC. So I can plug into AC to get xz. 12 plus 2, 14. So since this is 14 and that's a match, too fast. This here will be 14. Moving on. This is a good one I like to bring up because it brings up this idea of isosceles triangles. So there's another piece of information you guys have to use here. Now, the isosceles triangle tells you that two sides are equal. And because two sides are equal, that's also telling you that these base angles here and here, these base angles as we'll call them, are congruent. They are equal to each other. So whatever B is, C is. And then the next piece of that is that K and C in your congruent statement are matching angles. So whatever K is, C is. And because those two base angles are equal, I could set them equal to each other. Again, and this is what you start to realize. A lot of this is just finding what's equal and then working toward your x. Again, I move letters to one side to keep x positive. 15 is equal to 3x. Divide by 3. X is equal to 5. They want j. Oh, I don't have j. Well, what happens? J is the same as B, but also J is the same as K. K, J, C, B, they're all the same. But let's plug in for B because we know B and J are the same. 5 times 5 plus 8, that's 25 plus 8, which is equal to 33 degrees. And again, if you were kind of going through the rest of this, if this is 33 degrees, this angle here would be 33 degrees. And if you wanted to know what this was, you would do 180 minus 66, which is the 33 plus 33. And then 180 minus 60 is 120 minus 6, 114. This would get your angle here, just in case you had to go a little further on another type of test or question or whatnot. This is the same exact question, so obviously we're not going to repeat that, and we'll pretend that didn't happen. You should be ready to go. Hope these helped. If you have questions, come and find me.